Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, once again, we're going to be talking about Halo MCC and Reach coming to PC. And Xbox One, of course. Now, there hasn't been any new announcements related to it, except for the fact that it will be playable at Halo Outpost Discovery this summer, for everyone that's going to that at least. But other than that, nothing new to really discuss. But what I want to talk about today is the fact that while a lot of fans are no doubt excited that Halo the Master Chief Collection is coming to PC, and will include Halo Reach on both PC and Xbox One, there are actually quite a few people out there that are quite frustrated, upset, and even angry that MCC is coming to PC. Now, why would anyone possibly be upset about Halo MCC coming to PC, you might ask? Well, that's what I'll be discussing in this video. I'll be going over the top complaints and why people feel that way, and I'll do my best to try to alleviate those concerns. You know, I feel like a lot of those concerns and complaints stem from confusions, misinformation, or just plain paranoia. So hopefully I can help alleviate some of those concerns, or debunk some misconceptions here and there. So let's get right into it. The first complaint I want to tackle, and probably the biggest reason why some people out there are upset or apprehensive about MCC coming to PC, is that it's essentially the last exclusive Xbox One has, and now that's coming to PC, they think that Xbox is going to die. Their reasoning is that people need exclusives on consoles to want to play on consoles or buy consoles, and without any exclusives, there will be no reason for anyone to play on the Xbox One anymore. Not to mention, they also believe the population of MCC on the Xbox One will rapidly die down, since there's no Xbox to PC crossplay either. So, you know, they think that everyone's going to migrate to the PC version. And for that reason, those people are upset about MCC coming to PC. Because for them, it kind of signals the end of the Xbox era for them. Like, you know, you'd say like it's not the end of the world, but to them, it almost is. Because if the world is, you know, Xbox, then MCC coming to PC feels like it might be the end of the Xbox era for them. It's a valid concern for fans of the Xbox One, but it's actually kind of unreasonable. The notion that people only buy consoles solely for exclusive games is pretty much untrue. I know it's something that PlayStation fans often like to flaunt around or bring up, that, you know, their exclusives are like the main reason that people buy PlayStation. But, you know, it's not the only reason people buy consoles. In fact, most of the time, the most played game and top selling games on consoles are multi-platform games like Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto. Neither of those games are even close to being console exclusives. You see, people buy consoles for the convenience of them. They're easy to use, you can get them, it gets you gaming quickly out of the box, and it's oftentimes cheaper than buying an equivalent or more powerful PC. And because of that, consoles will always remain a popular go-to device for gaming, exclusives or no exclusives. People aren't going to suddenly stop buying consoles just because of a lack of exclusives, nor will there be a sudden mass exodus from Xbox either. Likewise, with MCC coming to PC, but without crossplay with the Xbox, others have been concerned that the population of MCC on the Xbox One will be severely reduced to the point where it will be nearly impossible to find a match online. So this again circles back to the lack of exclusives argument on the Xbox One. Just because MCC is coming to PC, it doesn't mean there will also be a mass exodus from the Xbox population on MCC. I can understand the paranoia there, but there's really nothing to worry about. Plenty of other games have had PC versions as well, superior PC versions in fact, yet it has always had a minimal impact on the console versions. GTA 5, for a while, was only available on consoles. Then later a PC version came out, one which was far superior to the console versions, and had a lot more features too. Yet, the console versions were fine. People remained on the console version, you know, and kept playing happily. Even to this day, the population on GTA 5 for consoles is still very strong. I mean, even the 360 and PS3 versions still have pretty decent populations to this very day. Likewise, the same will be the case with MCC. Just because it's getting a PC port doesn't mean it will have a negative impact on the population of the console version. It's very common for people to own both a console and a PC, in fact, and to alternate between them. So, you know, it's not like people suddenly like toss their Xboxes out the window and only play PC. It's, there's such a thing as playing both, or having both. It's, not that uncommon. I'm definitely getting the PC version of MCC for sure, but that's not going to suddenly make me not want to play on Xbox anymore. Not even in the slightest. What it will more likely do is introduce new fans to Halo, or bring back fans that have been holding out on PC for a while. It will not have a negative impact on the Xbox One population though, and even if it did, it'd be minuscule, like negligible impact. Now, other concerns some people have had is the PC version will be filled with hackers that will ruin the online experience for everyone. Or if not hackers, there'll be a massive advantage in favor of mouse and keyboard users versus people who use the Xbox controller. While I can't predict the future for these things, I can offer reassurances that 343 has confirmed that there will be anti-cheat software built into the game that should help prevent hackers from messing with the online experience. Now, how effective it will be, I have no idea, but taking a look at other really popular online PC games like Fortnite, and you'll see that hacking online isn't rampantly out of control or anything. It's, from what I understand, it's, fine. And as for mouse and keyboard versus controllers, I'm not sure what that's going to be like, to be honest. Some other games I've seen, they do separate the two kinds of players, especially in competitive games, but we'll see how 343 will handle it. They currently haven't announced anything about that yet. I'm sure they definitely thought about all this already and have plans of how to handle it though. I personally think it's too early to be upset about any of this though, because we don't know for sure yet how 343 plans to handle any of this yet. I mean, insider fighting hasn't even begun yet for the PC version, so it's really too early to tell how effective their anti-cheat mitigations will be, or their attempts to handle mouse and keyboard versus controller situations. So only time will tell. Now, the next point some people have been complaining about is the pricing. Now, no official pricing has been announced yet, be it for individual portions of MCC PC or the Halo Reach DLC for the Xbox One version, but that hasn't stopped people from worrying about the pricing or having like wild theories or other complaints. So this next subject will cover quite a few of the complaints related to that I've seen out there. The first is specifically about this about the potential pricing of MCC on PC. These concerns vary wildly and into the unreasonable too. On one hand, some people think that each portion of MCC PC will be charged at a full $60, making the entire collection cost around $360 after you buy all the games, which would certainly be outrageous if it actually happened, but that's totally unrealistic. No way it'll be like that. Now, of course, there's no official announcement on pricing yet, but that's just ridiculous and will never happen. And if it did, well, I don't know, but no way. I 100%, I'm quite positive it won't happen. On the other hand, I've seen others simply upset just because they had to pay for MCC again, if they already own it on the Xbox. There's nothing I can really say about that. The simple fact is, yes, you had to pay for MCC on PC. How much it will cost, I have no idea yet, but I'm not really sure why you'd expect a new PC port to be free in the first place. I mean, if you have Game Pass, then it is technically free for you, but other than that, I don't see why it would be free. I trust that the game will be priced reasonably anyways, but we'll just have to wait and see. One of the more reasonable complaints that I've seen is about the fact that MCC PC is being released in pieces, meaning that not all the Halo games will be available at once. We've discussed this before in previous videos about how it's a staggered release. Now, no doubt, this is disappointing news to some fans that want to play a specific Halo game that won't be available right away, such as Halo 3, for example. That one you'll have to wait a little bit further down the road, because they're doing Halo Reach first, then 1, then 2, then finally 3. So it's going to be a while before you can play Halo 3 on PC. This frustration is more understandable, because fans of the Halo series on PC, especially the ones that have been waiting to finish the fight, they will have to wait even longer still for some of the games they really want to play. But in reality, the reality is that those later Halo games simply aren't ready for release yet anyways, and they wouldn't have been. So all 343 could do is release games as they become available, or hold them back and wait to release them all at once? I guess they figured that people would rather start playing some of MCC on PC sooner rather than later, rather than to wait for everything to be available at once. I'm sure there are some people out there who prefer for it to be released all at once, but this is how it's going to work, and hopefully it won't take too long between game releases. Personally, I just being able to play any Halo game on PC, aside from the old Halo 1 and 2 PC ports, is pretty awesome. And I'd rather just to have it as it's available rather than wait like another year possibly for it all to come out. But that's just me. The next issue that I see a lot of people complain about as well is related to Halo Reach. Actually, quite a few complaints are there too. For starters, the biggest complaint, and one of the things some people out there are most mad about, is that only half of the Halo Reach DLC is going to be free on MCC for Xbox One. I know I've talked about this before in previous videos, but I want to go over it again and in a little more detail in this video too. So the premise of all this is that when Halo Reach comes to MCC on Xbox One, the multiplayer will be free, which means stuff like matchmaking, forge, and custom games, and theater mode, I think, will all be free. But the campaign and firefight modes will be paid premium DLC, meaning you have to pay for them. You may think that sounds reasonable, if not really generous, but indeed, I've seen a lot of people complain about this practice and even call it downright shady. You see, the way they see things is that 343 is holding back a portion of the DLC behind a so-called paywall. Indeed, some developers out there have been guilty of such shady practice in the past, where certain built-in features of a game are disabled and hidden behind a paywall and can only be unlocked through the form of microtransactions. But that's not what's going on here. First of all, there are no microtransactions on MCC at all. And this is like a separate downloaded content. It's not something that was already built into the game. I'm not sure if people simply forgot how paid DLCs used to work, or if they just truly expect everything to be free for them. But what's being done with Halo Reach and MCC is not shady in the slightest, and like I said, it's actually really generous, giving half of the game for free. And, that's where the difference in viewpoint is. The people upset with this see parts... What they see is basically that parts of what they expect as a free DLC is being locked away from them, and they have to pay more money to unlock it. The way you should be seeing it is that part of something that normally costs money is being given away for free, whereas it could have easily been the entirety of Halo Reach costing money. I truly don't understand where people get the mindset from that DLCs are supposed to be free. Perhaps this is a generational gap, where the newer generation of gamers are used to microtransactions now, and they don't remember paying for full-on DLCs and expansions anymore, since that's the common trend of a lot of modern games these days, where new content is seamlessly added into the game, but you don't pay for it separately anymore. It's like a game update, and it automatically gets applied. You don't actually go to like a store page and download a DLC pack for the game anymore. However, with microtransactions, like supply drops or rec packs, they let people unlock the content that's been downloaded or that's been seamlessly integrated into the game in the form of weapons or skins. It's basically how Halo 5 does it, because Halo 5 has never had a paid DLC to it, only rec packs. Any new content has been added to Halo 5 for free technically, but then you have to unlock it through rec packs, whether you want to pay money for the rec packs or grind for rec points. But because of that, people have been getting used to it and getting used to it being free, and they haven't paid for DLCs in a while on some games, but that's for the newer gamers. Whereas the older generation of gamers that predate microtransactions, they remember that they're used to every bit of new content in the game being a full separate download, optional download that costs money most of the times. For example, almost every map pack in the previous Halo games on the Xbox 360 cost money. In Microsoft points, actually, back then, if you still remember that currency. The concept of games being almost a living world or a live service with new content added to it behind the scenes for free was not very common back then, especially with console games. Now, another theory of why some people expect Reach to be totally free is that back when MCC first came out, it was quite literally unplayable, particularly with the matchmaking system. So as an apology to make up for the rough launch, 343 added ODST to MCC, and made it free for people who've owned or played MCC at launch. But ODST was only temporarily free, and later on it was made available again for everyone else as a $5 paid DLC. So perhaps the people who got it for free back then kind of developed an expectation that if one DLC was free for them, then all subsequent DLCs, if any, should also be free. Or maybe it's a combination of both theories, with ODST being free and with a lot of new games having free content but locked behind microtransactions. See, the thing is, Reach is not an apology for anything and has no reason that it needs to be free. Sure, it'd be great if it was free, but it's not. Half of it is free though, which is already really good. And regardless of why people believe that Reach DLC needs to be free, they have to realize that it costs money to port and remaster Reach for MCC, as well as the PC. Considering there's no microtransactions in MCC, development costs need to be supported the good old-fashioned way with paid DLCs. Now, the last common Reach-related complaint I've seen is partially related to Reach not being free, actually. This complaint is the expectation that if you own the Xbox 360 version of Halo Reach, you should be entitled to get it for free on MCC, Xbox, or PC. And on top of that, all your progress from the 360 version should also carry over, and there should also be crossplay with the Xbox 360 version. The latter complaint I'm actually quite used to, and I remember when MCC was first announced on the Xbox One, I too once wondered whether Halo 3 on MCC would carry over stats on the 360 version, or even support crossplay with it. As we all know, and for good reason too, it doesn't. But I'll touch on that subject a little later. First, I want to get back to the issue of entitlement. I've debated some people about this recently, and I always argue that there's no precedent nor any reason for people who own the 360 version to get the MCC version for free. Halo Reach on the Xbox 360 is almost 9 years old at this point, and is essentially an unsupported obsolete game on an older platform. It's quite unreasonable to expect getting a free upgrade for such an old game at this point. And to be fair, if you own Reach and an Xbox One, you already got your free upgrade in the form of the backwards compatible version of Halo Reach, which itself contains a few improvements to the 360 version. I mean, it's not Xbox One X enhanced, but it's still got a few other improvements here and there. The backwards compatible version of Halo Reach on Xbox One is free, like all backwards compatible games. The same cannot be said of Sony charging you to play old games you already own on the PS4 through their game streaming service. And as far as crossplay goes between the Xbox One version and the Xbox 360 version, it would be a cool feature, but it's not plausible since Reach on MCC is pretty much a whole different game than the 360 version. It's a remaster, not a backwards compatible version of a direct port. Therefore, the game is too different to easily support crossplay. I would imagine, at least. Not to mention that the game runs at 30 FPS on a 360 and 60 FPS on the Xbox One MCC version. That alone would not be a good experience for the 360 players to go up against the Xbox One players, because the Xbox One players having a 60 FPS frame rate would have a massive advantage over the 360 players running at 30 FPS. It just would not be an even experience, so I don't even see why you would want to be able to do that. But yeah, to be honest, even if they wanted to do crossplay with the 360 version against the Xbox One version, I'm not even sure it's even possible with the current Xbox Live architecture. Because outside of backwards compatible games, I can't think of any full Xbox One game that actually has had crossplay support with any 360 games. So circling back to what I mentioned before about stats carrying over, it's understandable that people who have spent a lot of time grinding credits and ranks on Reach would be frustrated that they had to do it all over again on MCC. But, that is, of course, another thing with Reach on MCC being a totally different, totally new game, essentially. Rarely do remastered games on newer generation platforms let you import your profile from a previous generation anyways. Besides, cross-game progress was never implemented in any of the previous Halo games on MCC, so once again, there's no precedent anyways for it to suddenly be supported with Reach. Alright, so I believe that covers all the major complaints that I've seen that are causing people to be upset about MCC and Reach coming to PC. I mean, at first, it was quite surprising to me that anyone would actually be upset about it, but there certainly are people out there that don't like the idea of it, or at least the way it's coming. Some of it is understandable, while the rest of it is quite unreasonable. Now, for those of you who might have been feeling uneasy about some things with MCC, PC, and Reach, I do hope I've at least alleviated some of your concerns regarding all this. I know others might not ever change their minds or opinions, but hopefully with time, the rest of their concerns, such as MCC being the end of the Xbox One, or MCC PC being the end of the Xbox One, will prove to be untrue. And those people worrying about that can rest assured after that. But yeah, I just wanted to, make a video about this, addressing the most common complaints in the hopes that I could clear things up, which hopefully I have cleared some things up. I'm definitely open to discussing more of this further with you all, if you have any other questions or concerns about all this. But in the meantime, if you did enjoy this talk, or if I've relieved some of your concerns, just feel free to leave a like. And if you have any other thoughts or comments or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and we'll discuss them and we'll see where that goes. But other than that, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.